What's up, everybody? Tony Pasquale here with you. In this video, we are going to be going over our newest product, Adaload. Who's Adaload for? Men and women can both use Adaload, okay? Who's it really for, though? It's for someone who's actually trying to gain weight, all right? Specifically lean muscle tissue, lean body mass, all right? How does something like Adaload work? How does it actually increase lean body mass different than protein or some sort of post-workout drink or anything like that? Well, really the easiest way to start with that is, what does Adaload do, right? Well, Adaload is basically something that nowadays people are calling insulin mimickers, glucose disposal agents. There's all sorts of things going on, all right? Adaload is going to take the foods that you eat, 3 to 6 to 10 times a day, whatever your schedule is, and drive those foods into the muscles, into the cells, which by default is going to dramatically increase the recovery rate and the size that you put on, okay? I don't want to get too scientific in this video. There is 8 different ingredients in here that basically work together to accomplish that. But what ends up happening is, over the last 10 or 15 years, people have realized that insulin and muscle growth, to some degree, can go hand in hand. Now, insulin can be associated with a lot of things. It can be associated with increasing muscle. It can also be associated with increasing fat. All right, a lot of that depends on genetics, but also what you're eating. So let's just talk about this for a moment. Adaload. If you take this with 2 cups of white rice, brown rice with some, grilled chicken breast, your body's going to take those nutrients and it's going to shuttle it into the muscles at a far more efficient rate than you could naturally do. Okay, that's great, especially if you're working out, breaking down muscle tissue, things like that. But if you're taking something like Adaload and you're eating it with 3 slices of pizza, 2 donuts, a Hostess cupcake, and some gummy bears, right? In that situation, your body's going to take those nutrients and shuttle those into a muscle too, if it can. But if those cells are already filled up with the energy they need, then that extra energy, or potential energy, has to be stored as body fat. So the goal is, when you take these kinds of products, or when you take this product in particular, anything that's a glucose disposing agent, anything that's an insulin mimicker, you'll want to take it with quality foods and quality supplements. Things like clean BCAAs, anabolic, grilled chicken, steak. Obviously, you're going to need this with carbs. Oatmeal, grits, white potatoes, brown potatoes. If you have a really fast metabolism, you can maybe do it with whole grain breads, Ezekiel muffins, whatever you want to do. For the most part now, the majority of us, if we have 2% effort level, can figure out what we're supposed to eat and what we're not supposed to eat. You can have an app help you with that. But how you use this is a little bit more custom, all right? Most people, I'm going to tell you, start with one capsule, 1 time a day. Then eventually go to 1 capsule 2 times a day, potentially, if you need to, all right? The most you're going to want to use is two times per day. That's the most you're going to want to do. So Tony, okay, I want to put on more muscle. I've heard some things about insulin mimickers, glucose disposal agents. How do I implement this into my system? How do I accomplish this? I'll tell you what I would do personally, okay? These things weren't around when I was bodybuilding, okay? Most people at those points, if you wanted to get these kinds of results, you frankly had to use insulin. That was kind of the only way to go about it. So what I would say is, there's 2 times in the day that it's paramount for a bodybuilder or someone trying to put on maximum muscle that they would want to take something like a glucose disposal agent. First time I would take it is in the morning with meal 1, definitely. Depending on your body structure, your weight, all that, the amount of carbs you're going to want to consume with that is totally person specific. You probably want to start with 50 grams of carbohydrates to be safe, and then you can slowly work your way back by maybe 5 grams. You may be someone who only needs 15 grams of carbohydrates to get the maximum results. But I'd start higher and slowly work my way back. So that's the first time of the day I would take it. If you train in the morning, I would take that first dose after your actual workout, okay? Right after the workout, actually, is what I'd recommend. And then you can start ingesting your food at that time simultaneously, ideally through a shake format during that instance, because otherwise the food's going to take a little too long to break down in your gut. The second time of the day you'd want to take it would probably be, if you weren't training, probably 8 hours after you got up, or if you were training, right after the workout. In the morning when you first get up, or if you work night shifts, whatever, when you are upon rising, you should definitely take your first serving for maximum muscle gains, and the second dose would definitely be after you train. In theory, if you want to get really cute, you could be somebody who takes it before a workout and then after a workout, and you front load your carbs and you have carbohydrates after the workout. Maybe you're using anabolic pre-workout, anabolic, post-workout. You can do that. That's something that maybe Jason would recommend for super custom things, maybe guys that are 230, 250, or have really unique metabolisms, but that's really person specific. Less than probably 10% of you out there should actually implement it in that kind of fashion. So in the morning, in the evening, all right? Tony, you said there's things like this that have been out for 10 or 15 years. What makes Adaload different than all the other stuff that's already out there? It's a competitive market, right? You're right, it's competitive with a lot of crap. So when you look on the back of our bottle, you're going to see some stuff that maybe, if you're familiar with this kind of stuff, you see things that kind of sound similar to things you've taken in the past, but you're going to notice that we use 50% less of the stuff that a lot of people do. They might use 500 milligrams, we use 250. Someone might use 1,000 of this, we're using 50 milligrams. You'll say, and it's a common theme with steel supplements, where people will say, I notice you guys don't use as much of certain things as everyone else, including our andros. That's because, guess what? We use the purest forms of these ingredients, okay? We don't have to get a generic form that's crap, and then we use extra of it so it sounds good on a bottle, and then we sling the bottle for $20 a bottle, and it actually isn't going to do anything for you. Instead, we go get most of this stuff, a lot of it's going to come from plants. We go ahead and get higher quality plants, and we get higher grains of extracts from those plants, and that's what we use, and that's what we put into the product. So when you actually take it, you get a much stronger result. I mean, I think we've all taken either some sort of stimulants or different kinds of coffee, right? I'm sure you've noticed it. If you take one strain of a coffee, or a strain of any plant for that matter, if you take a certain strain of one thing, you notice a big difference between something else, especially when it's pure. So in these instances, you'll really notice a difference with something like Adaload. So if you have taken other insulin mimickers in the past, please start with this one differently, because this one's significantly stronger. I debate probably 3 times as strong. So a lot of you are probably wondering, Tony, that's great. Adaload works. It's going to put on maximum muscle. I get it. What do I take it with? Adaload can be taken with everything across the board that we have at Steel Supplements, okay? It can be taken by men and women. We've already gone over that. If you're a male looking for maximum muscle mass, I would definitely take this with the andros, okay? Now, we got 6 different kinds of andros, so please see those videos for the specifics on which andro or which combination of andros would be ideal for you to take with this. Taking the andros, or taking amped or charged or anabolic, which hopefully if you are taking Adaload, it's made to go with anabolic. That's probably the best way to use it. So you use your Adaload in the morning, and then after your workout, you go ahead and take your 2 tablets of Adaload, and then you go ahead and take your 1 to maybe 3 scoops of ADA, depending on your size, metabolism, things like that. Okay, so Adaload matches perfectly with anabolic, matches great with the andros. Or maybe you're someone that just honestly has a super fast metabolism, you're really tight on a budget, and you're like, man, I eat pretty good, but I still can't gain a lot of weight, and I don't want to take a crappy mass gainer full of a lot of junk in it. Adaload would be great for you too. If you're a 20-year-old guy that's playing collegiate football, and you're a tight end or a wide receiver or a fighter or a cyclist, and you're trying to gain a little bit of lean mass, but you just, because of your energy output from your metabolism and what you maybe do for a living at work, you can't put on mass, Adaload would be great for you as well. But once again, definitely make sure you're consuming enough carbohydrates with it, but what's considered enough is going to be really person specific. I would definitely start, or like I said, somewhere between 50 and 70 grams, depending on the person, and slowly work your way back, all right? And then you'll find your sweet spot. And of course, if you want to gain more weight and you're still staying really lean, just make sure you increase both your fats and your carbohydrates and your protein slightly, and then you should be good to go. So of course, if you have any questions about this or any of our products, please feel free to click on the chat box on the bottom right-hand corner of the website. We'll happily answer any of your questions.